Well, AOC, and let me know if you believe this, is saying that MAGA Republicans are coming up to her and say, man, I was wrong about Trump. I'm with socialism now. Do you buy that?
Absolutely not. In fact, I'd like to see some of the people who actually said that to AOC and check their ballots and see if they actually voted for President Trump. Because I can assure you, MAGA Republicans oppose everything that AOC and the modern day communist Democrat Party stands for. Mass migration and open borders like we saw under the Biden administration.
AOC is now claiming something that instantly raised eyebrows across the political spectrum. According to her, MAGA Republicans are coming up to her privately and admitting they were wrong about Donald Trump. She says they regret their vote, reject Trumpism, and are suddenly open to socialism and the Democratic agenda. It's a bold claim, but one that immediately begs a simple question. Where's the proof?
Men in women's sports is something MAGA Republicans and frankly the whole country rejects. It's a 90-10 issue, taxing people to death and taking their money and giving the majority of your income back to the government. That's a horrible idea that has not worked for thousands of years.
AOC insists a wave of Trump voters is quietly abandoning him and preparing to line up behind Democrats for 2028. But critics aren't buying it. They argue MAGA Republicans fundamentally oppose nearly everything AOC stands for, from open borders to socialist economics. The idea that these voters are suddenly flipping ideological beliefs overnight sounds more like a fantasy than political reality.
I fully welcome Trump voters into our coalition. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but just hear me out. I cannot tell you. It just happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you how many times someone has pulled me aside and said either I was once a big Trump voter and a Trump supporter, but then I started to kind of expand my world and where I got information. And now I've learned and now I've changed and I'm with you.
In AOC's version of events, Trump voters weren't motivated by soaring grocery prices, painful gas costs, or unaffordable rent under Biden. No, she suggests they were simply brainwashed by conservative media. That explanation brushes aside the everyday financial pressure millions of Americans actually felt, replacing it with a smug narrative that voters just don't think for themselves.
President just dealt with Chuck Schumer, and President Trump and Republicans shellacked Chuck Schumer and the entire Democrat Party. After 43 days of Chuck standing out there trying to bravely hold the country hostage and inflict massive pain on the American public, Chuck got absolutely nothing, and now the knives are out for him. As you can see, Jesse, as you just perfectly laid out in your monologue, the Democrat Party is in complete disarray, and the truth is, they have been for 10 years since President Trump came on the political scene.
That narrative didn't go unanswered. Karoline Leavitt stepped in with one of the sharpest rebuttals of the year. She flatly rejected AOC's claims, demanding names, evidence, and actual data. Anecdotes weren't enough. Karoline argued that MAGA voters didn't regret Trump. They overwhelmingly reaffirmed him because his message aligned with their real-world concerns.
They don't stand for anything good. They just stand for Donald Trump is bad. That's the only thing that unifies their party. And now you see how far they are moving to the left. They ran Senator Gillibrand and Senator Manchin out of town. Now they're running Chucky Schumer out of town. It's too bad he turned into a Palestinian. He did it for nothing, like President Trump says, because his own party is turning against him. And the Democrat Party is truly becoming a full-blown communist party.
Karoline widened the scope, pointing to chaos inside the Democratic Party itself. From Chuck Schumer to longtime party figures, Democrats are now turning on their own. According to Karoline, the party has been unraveling for a decade, drifting further left while devouring anyone who doesn't pass increasingly strict ideological purity tests.
Men in women's sports is something MAGA Republicans and frankly the whole country rejects. It's a 90-10 issue, taxing people to death and taking their money and giving the majority of your income back to the government. That's a horrible idea that has not worked for thousands of years. MAGA Republicans know it, and that's why they overwhelmingly voted to re-elect President Trump.
Karoline argues today's Democratic leadership no longer sets the agenda. activists do. One misstep, one moderate stance, and party members are instantly labeled traitors. Instead of governing, the party is obsessed with signaling moral superiority. The result? Infighting, confusion, and voters quietly stepping away from a party that no longer knows what it stands for.
MAGA Republicans know it, and that's why they overwhelmingly voted to re-elect President Trump. And a Democrat that you had in your monologue actually was right about one thing. I don't know his name, but I give him credit for his statement where he said that the Republican Party under President Trump is the party of the working man and woman. And because of President Trump's pro-growth, America First policies, he has spoken directly to the hearts of the forgotten men and women across this country. And that's who the Republican Party is today, thanks to him.
Karoline dismantles the idea that Trump voters had buyer's remorse. Issues like men competing in women's sports, aggressive taxation, and socialist-style redistribution aren't fringe debates. They're deal breakers. Voters didn't drift away from Trump. They doubled down because Democrats refused to listen or compromise on issues that hit everyday life.
Well, we'll have to see. And I'm very curious. I'll have to find out from our great Attorney General Pam Bondi if the Trump DOJ is continuing this investigation that the Biden DOJ launched. Jesse, it's a good question, and we will get on that. But as for Gavin Newsom, I was not surprised to see him in Brazil, traveling the world, probably on the taxpayer dime, talking about climate change when his state, California, has some of the highest energy costs in the entire country.
One uncomfortable truth even some Democrats admit. Under Trump, Republicans became the party of the working man and woman. Trump spoke directly to people who felt ignored, squeezed, and mocked. While Democrats chased elite approval and online applause, Trump addressed jobs, prices, energy, and national pride, and voters responded.
We have some of the highest gasoline prices in the entire country, despite President Trump's efforts. And they are working to bring down oil and gas prices in this country, to drill, baby, drill, to unleash American energy dominance. Gavin has done so much damage to his state with the Green New scam and with this utopian pursuit of climate change that is just so false. It's built on a fallacy that he has run up energy costs in his state that people are fleeing his state.
At the end of the day, this isn't about Fox News or misinformation. It's about lived experience. People supported Trump because life felt harder, more expensive, and more unstable under Democratic leadership. Until the DNC confronts those realities instead of dismissing voters as brainwashed, no amount of spin will stop the backlash already in motion.